Quake 4 was an interesting experience and also the first Xbox 360 launch title I beat, believe it or not. My only prior experience with Quake was from the original Quake, an awesome game, and Enemy Territories Quake Wars, a meh game, and I'd say Quake 4 fell somewhere in between. While not as good as the original in my opinion, it was still a decent game, taking maybe 12 hours to beat. I feel like this game tried too hard to blend boomer shooters with a more modern style, and it just didn't really work that well. It's just, I'm not really sure how to describe it honestly, other than being just a decent experience. Being a first person shooter, of course, it was loaded with action, but was often annoying with escort missions where the person you were supposed to protect would charge into heavy gunfire and die, or just giving vague objections and directions and kind of just leaving you to figure it out on your own, not like the OG where, if my memory serves me right, each level was pretty much get from point A to B. I also think this game focused a bit too much on parkour, ladders, and environmental hazards, as probably a third of my deaths were from falling or being knocked off elevated platforms. If I'm playing a shooter, I want to die by my enemies, not by accidentally walking off a ledge. And the reason I mentioned ladders is they could be buggy, and on more than one occasion I got stuck on them and simply couldn't get off. Quake 4 also frequently suffered from lag in firefights, but taking into consideration it was new hardware at the time that no one else had really made games on previously, I'll let that slide. The story was pretty simple. You play as a guy named King in the Strogg War. About halfway through the game, he's taken prisoner by the aliens and is partially transformed into one, giving him 25 extra health points and the ability to use Strogg equipment and bypass security equipment intended for killing humans. And yeah, that's the story. Short and simple, just what I expected from a Quake game. Discussing the combat, putting aside my aforementioned complaints, it was usually pretty fun, with a ton of enemy variety and an arsenal of a dozen guns to use, most of which were pretty useful except the blaster just because of its weakness, and the railgun, which suffered from a pitifully low rate of fire, low damage, unless in your enemy's hands, and very low ammo. But other than that, all weapons were useful, and each weapon has an achievement for completing a level using only that gun. Graphically, the game looks amazing for the time, and graphically surpasses some modern games. Hello, Golem. And all the sound effects were really spot on, although I wish this installment in the Quake series had subtitles. All things considered, I think I give this game a 7 out of 10 for my grade scale. Not a bad game, but I don't plan on playing it again in the near future. Well, folks, that's all from me today. For anyone new here, I mostly play, review, and discuss video games, so feel free to check out some of my other content if that sounds interesting. Always remember that Jesus loves you all very much. Peace.